What is going on, YouTube? Reverend Gaming here, coming back at you with another YouTube video. Now, I know at the 2018 E3 conference, Techland released the upcoming of Dying Light 2. Now, I know I'm going to be putting in a lot of hours into that game, so I thought, what's a better video to make than a recap of the first game? With no further ado, let's get into it. Brought to you by Techland Publishing and Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment, Dying Light is a first-person survival game and successor to the Dead Island series. The game itself takes place in the fictitious city of Harran, currently quarantined by the Ministry of Defense after a recent outbreak of the biochemical Harran virus. To prevent the Ministry of Defense from bombing the city to eliminate the virus completely, the global relief effort is tasked with containing the outbreak and maintaining order in Harran. The global relief effort, also known as GRE, is an antagonistic humanitarian organization under the Ministry of Defense designed to aid countries in disaster. With the failure of GRE evacuating Hassan Solomon from the quarantined city Harran, Solomon's brother Rais Solomon goes rogue with stolen files from the GRE. Kyle Crane holds the role of the main protagonist and hero in Dying Light. Trained and hired by the GRE, Kyle Crane is brought upon a call to action and sent into Harran with the quest of finding the rogue political figure Rais Solomon and retrieving the stolen files from the GRE. Starting the journey by parachuting into the city of Harran, Crane is saved from a group of bandits and virals by Jade Aldemir and Amir Garaishi. As a runner for the tower, the central safe zone in Dying Light, Jade is assigned with the task of retrieving Anizin, the antidote of the Harran virus, for those at the moment of infection, along with other supplies from overhead airdrops. The runners in this storyline can easily be seen as a hunting group of companions. Jade can be seen as the Threshold Guardian by setting Crane up with a series of tasks that must be completed for him to prove his worth and start his journey. Over the initial process of proving his worth, Crane comes in contact with a few characters such as Rahim Aldemir, Jade's brother and a loyal retainer of the story, Dr. Imran Zir and Harris Brecken. As one of the lead runners prior to his injuries, Brecken serves as the mentor of Crane throughout his journey, sending him through some of the tasks he himself can no longer complete. On a mission to secure an airdrop, Crane comes in contact with his first experience of the unknown. After being forced to secretly burn the majority of the vials of Anizin to promote interaction with Rais for help, Crane is chased on the way back to the tower by volatiles, often referred to as the creatures of the nightmare. With a limited source of Anizin, the tower sends Crane onward to meet with Rais as a new way to obtain the needed antibodies. Crossing into the next threshold of the storyline, Crane is first tested by Rais through a series of missions from his quartermaster Cream, in which he then will be provided with 2 containers of Anizin as promised. However, Rais refuses the containers and instead supplies him with only 5 vials. After returning the few vials to the tower, Crane continues on his mission to help Rais in return for Anizin. By this point through the storyline, Crane is able to see Rais as the shadow of the story, a worthy opponent that will test his abilities up until the end. With Rais being a stubborn warlord and the tower in desperate need for Anizin, Crane has reached the belly of the whale as Jade calls upon him to help her steal Anizin from Rais' stockpiles. While sneaking into a school, one of the bases of the bandits, Crane accidentally rings an alarm, leading to a fight with Rais' men inside of the building. After searching for stockpiles while no Anizin was found, Crane and Jade steal dynamite in order to blow up the nest. Against Crane's orders, back at the tower, Rahim and Omar go to blow up the nest on their own and fail drastically, leading to a stress call from Rahim to Crane for help, once again showing Rahim as a loyal retainer, further amplifying Crane's roles as the hero. Crane, now on the rescue, successfully sneaks into the garrison and frees Dr. Zir, previously captured by Rais' men in his truck. Right before their getaway, however, Rais ambushes the 2 of them, proceeding to knock out Crane. Waking up moments later in Rais' arena, Crane has been met with the fall of his journey, forced to fight several infected in the arena, with only materials scattered around such as wooden planks and pipes. Rais then releases a demolisher that Crane must destroy. Rais then steps down from the veering level, ordering his men to execute Crane. Right before the trigger is pulled, Crane kicks the guards, grabbing machete on the ground and successfully escapes with his life, but all too late to save Dr. Zir, who was killed by a guard in the process. Although he is now free from captivity, Crane has faced the first fall of his journey as now Rahim and Dr. Zir are both dead. With the need to find a new source of help, Brecken sends Crane to Hassan, who accepted to help smuggle Crane to Sector 0, also known as the Old Town of Harran, through the sewer system. Once in the city, Crane heads to the Ember Towers where he meets Michael, Troy, and Savvy, who help him get in contact with Jade. However, Jade has no interest in working with Crane as now both Amir and Rahim are dead in relation to his actions. Wanting forgiveness, Crane tells Jade how he was hired by the GRE to recover the stolen stolen files from Rais. Later, after considering his argument, Jade tells Crane to meet her near the Emerald Canal. However, on the way there, it is revealed to him that Jade has been kidnapped by Rais's men and taken to the museum. Approaching the center of the unknown, Crane finds a way into the museum via a hidden underground passageway. Once in the museum, Crane confronts Rais, telling him to release Jade. After refusing, Rais orders his men once again to kill Crane. Being driven by his fate, Crane fends off Rais's men, then finding where Jade is being held prisoner. Rais then locks Crane and Jade in the room where she is being held, releasing dozens of virals to kill them. After fending off the virals, Rais throws an antizen injector into Crane's hand, in which he must choose between saving himself or saving Jade, who happened to be bitten a few hours prior. Now, under the conditions of severe symptoms, Crane begins hallucinating, meaning the supernatural intervention of the storyline. Following Jade through this hallucination, Crane comes in contact with many old companions until he finds Jade trying to stab him in the neck. Waking up immediately, he realized that Jade stabbing him in the dream was her injecting him with the antizen, saving his life. By this time, it is too late though, and Crane is forced to kill Jade as she is now turned into a zombie. Now with the lost access to the files, along with the death of one of his new best friends and partners, Crane has faced the final fall and the apotheosis of his journey. Leaving the museum, Crane meets up with Troy to find a variety of new ways to convince the Ministry of Defense that there are still survivors living in the city. First off, Crane finds a way to the top of an antenna system in which he broadcasts a signal to the rest of the world, proving that a bombing would suggest the Ministry as murderers to the world. Right before the jets fly over to bomb the city, they receive the stress call and pull up from the mission. Then, contacted by the GRE, Crane is offered extraction in return for Zira's research. However, now knowing that the GRE was trying to weaponize the virus over finding a cure, Crane refuses. Then, fighting his way through hordes of zombies, Crane meets with Dr. Camden, providing him some tissue samples. Dr. Camden then informs Crane that Amir, the one who sacrificed his life to save Crane at the beginning of his journey, was originally hired by the GRE. Dr. Camden then tells Crane that he needs some information from the GRE prior to conducting any more research. However, while contacting the GRE, Rais is the one who picks up on the other end, stating that he is on top of his base with Zira's research, waiting for the GRE to extract him. Given that Rais and Crane both know that this research could do significant harm to the world, Rais challenges Crane to meet him on the rooftop for a final showdown. Fighting his way through the garrison, Crane has reached the ordeal of his journey as Rais sends dozens of virals in his way. Finding his way to a ladder, Crane climbs up until he ends up in the arena he had previously fought the Demolisher in. Evading the rockets being shot at him by Rais, Crane makes it to an elevator taking him up to a few floors lower than the roof. Leaving the elevator, Crane finds Cream on the ground dying, instructing him not to go up the stairs as they had been booby-trapped prior to Rais betraying and killing most of his men. Finding an alternative route to the top, Crane is in fingertips length with the ultimate boon ready to confront Rais. As a final battle between good and evil has begun, the two of them battle it out until Crane forces a machete through Rais's chest. Leaving Rais laying on the ground, Crane stands and walks towards the helicopter hovering on the edge of the building. Then moments later, Crane looks back to see Rais running full speed at him, sending both of them off of the building. Now, hanging on for his life on the side of a crate, Rais at the upper hand. Crane is able to finish the job once and for all. Climbing back onto the building, the GRE contacts Crane, asking him for Zira's research one last time, refusing to turn over the research and to be extracted, marking the refusal of the return and the rebirth of his character, for he now knows the truth behind the plans of the GRE. Then returning the research to Dr. Camden, Crane asks Troy for help finding a way out of Harran, marking the end of the storyline and leading into the first downloadable expansion. Crane traverses his way through the mountains until he finds a small village of survivors. Here, he must first earn his trust and loyalty by completing a few tasks for the village. Later in the storyline, Crane comes in contact with the Mother, the leader of the Faceless. The Mother is the main antagonist and has the village consuming a blue serum, making them immune to the infected. However, if used incorrectly, as the symptoms of the blue serum grow, the host will become a sentiment volatile over time, meaning they are only feral at night. By the end of the expansion, the Mother, as the lead user of this serum, leaves Crane with two options: nuking all of Harran or fighting her, which would ultimately lead to Crane being turned into a full infected. Now, as the master of two worlds, Crane's final choice will choose the fate of Harran, marking the end of his journey. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below what game you'd like to see me do next. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.